Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Today is Thursday, April 16, 2009. My name is Alejandra Mendoza and I'm with Pau Maynés to have a conversation about treatment practices in photograph conservation. This is part of a series of interviews I'm conducting to photograph conservators as part of my project for the Advanced Residency program, in which I intend to investigate and describe the current status of treatment practices in our field. So for this, I would like to follow a format for the interview, in which I will begin asking questions about yourself and your background and the work you do, followed by some questions about specific treatment topics, to end up with some questions about training and education and the future challenges of the field in this topic. So I would like to begin the interview asking you, could you please tell me your name, your job title and affiliation?
Okay. Well, hello. Thank you for interviewing me. I hope I do good.
I'm sure.
My name is Pau Maynés. I'm from Barcelona, Spain, and I am a conservator of photographs. I am also an historian, and I work in a private conservation lab. Specialized, well, not specialized, I share the lab with other conservators in other specialties, but I do take care of photographs.
And when was this lab established? Was
The lab was established, or I started my private practice in the year 2001.
And prior to this establishment, could you talk to me a little bit about your professional career and your education?
Okay, I have studied for many years, and in fact I don't think I have finished my studies. I keep on studying and doing research, but academic studies. I studied photography in a photo school in Barcelona when I finished my school. Then I studied art history at the university, followed by a museology year at the École du Louvre in Paris, and then I studied conservation of photographs at the Institut National du Patrimoine, the former IFROA program in Paris from 1996 to the year 2000.
And then you opened
And then I was here at the Georgisman House for 1 year, doing this oral history project on the history of conservation of photographs. So I went back to Barcelona in the year 2001 and started private practice there.
And Pau, can you describe to me what kind of individuals or institutions comprise your clientele in your lab in Barcelona?
Okay, there is a great variety of clients. I work for institutions and for private clients. Institutions can be museums, archives, libraries, private foundations. Well, these would fall into the private client section. And as private clients, I can work for collectors, for galleries, for photographers, and for just private owners.
Thank you. So I would like now to start our conversation in treatment. So for that I would begin asking you, how do you define treatment? If you have a definition of what treatment is?
Well, when you say treatment, two ideas come to my mind. One would be what the word means. To treat something would be to act upon something. So this would be to do a conservation treatment on an object, for instance a photograph, since this is the topic of the interview. But when you gave me the questions, I thought twice about that question, how I would answer. And I thought I would like to make a parallel or use another word as a synonym of treatment, and that I actually use every day in my everyday practice, which is intervention. For me, treatment is I would write more often intervention than treatment in my reports, treatment reports. So, and for me intervention is more large than treatment in itself, because I don't understand the conservation of an object as the treatment you do on an object, but I would describe the intervention as the study you do on the object, all the actions you take for preventive care, and then the actions you take actually directly on the object. So for me the treatment of an object would go from the study of it to the end of the actual intervention of the object. I don't know if I was clear enough.
Yes, but so you use these both terms equally
Yes.
sometimes, and
See, if somebody asked me to treat an object, I would not go forward and intervene on it directly. I would first study it, then think about how to protect it, and then, if needed, I would touch it.
And in this definition, would you consider like secondary housings or application and design of these secondary housings as a treatment or as an intervention?
Of course. Of course. Of course.
Okay. And I would like to ask you now about the need for treatment, and it's a question about how do you determine the need for treatment in the objects you're asked to treat in your lab. So what is the factors?
Well, if I'm consequent with what I just said, I would say all objects deserve or to be treated, but not all. I wouldn't force, for instance, intervene directly on the object in all the treatments. But anyway, every object is different, and there is no magic formula or magic recipe to decide what object can be treated or not. It depends on the examination, diagnosis, and what the different values of the object are, and which one you choose to put emphasis on.
And in your practice, I would like to ask you, what are the type of treatments, like the scope of the treatments you perform or you are asked to perform by your clients? Or the type and the types of photographs as well.
A very large scope of photographs, from large numbers of documentary photographs to single very important photographs. So depending on, as I said, the value of the object, you choose one treatment or the other. So what are the range of treatments I perform? Well, cleaning of surfaces, cleaning of supports, dry and wet cleaning, consolidation, repair of tears. What else do I do often? Flattening, in painting, mounting. What I feel myself as to be, I feel I'm kind of a housekeeper person applied to photographs. I clean a lot. I'm a cleaner. My specialty is to clean, make things cleaner, consolidate a lot. Basically, this is what I do.
And do you think this treatment is needed more in photographs for some reason, or do you think it's
yes, of course, because materials perish, deteriorate, degrade. In fact, in material sciences we use the word degradation, which means that the material loses its properties, physical and chemical. So what we do is, in a sort of way, we stabilize the object as it is, and we try to get rid of what is annoying the stability of the original material.
Mm-hmm.
We are specialists in materials and in identification of materials and making diagnosis of what the nature of the material is and what is his state of deterioration in his lifetime. So this is a new material, it's in good shape, it's in good condition. This is a little deteriorated, this is very deteriorated. What can we do to stop that deterioration?
Mm-hmm.
We usually cannot do anything to reverse it because time cannot go backwards.
Mm-hmm.
But what I feel I do, and my specialty is this, to define the nature of materials and to be able to interpret how old they are, how more they can live, and try to make them live the longer the better.
You've been referring to cleaning and stabilization of photographs, and do you also do interventions that aim to reestablish aesthetic qualities in photographs? Or?
Yes, of course, all of them, well, not all of them that we mentioned here tend to reestablish aesthetic qualities, lost aesthetic qualities. But I don't like very much the term aesthetic qualities. I would rather say we do clean and in paint, which are the most obvious interventions that can be assimilated to aesthetic qualities, cleaning and in painting. What I would do is, what I would say or think is that I do this to reestablish a visual aspect that allows the viewer to interpret correctly the object in its historical and aesthetic integrity.
Mm-hmm.
This is what the Code of Ethics says, and this is what I believe.
Thank you, Pau. I would like to ask you if you could describe the methodology you use when you're brought an object or you're asked to treat an object. Like, what are the steps? What is the involvement with the client?
Okay, that's, well, the book says we do examine the object, condition reporting, materials analysis, diagnosis, treatment proposal, preventive care strategies, curative care, intervention on the object, and restoration. And this is a real methodology and a real process. But something that I have learned to do, which is not on the books, is to listen to the client and to try to figure out how he feels about the object and how he understands and lives photography, and try to do my work according to what he feels. If you go too straight to your scientific methodology, he may not understand, even though you explain, and they usually appreciate the information you give them. But you cannot obligate the guy or the client to follow your methodology step by step as a rule, because you sometimes can miss the thing. For instance, this happens with photographs with sentimental value, family photographs of clients who do not really understand what the value of an original photograph can be, as we do, and then you have to adapt yourself a little bit. This is not applicable probably to objects or photographs that are part of national collections or national heritage, because there is an obligation of a certain level of practice. But for private objects, things change and you have an obligation to the owner and to the client, which can you have sometimes to compromise between what you think is good, what they want, and what is possible.
So they use in context to define your treatment approach. They use in context of a particular photograph would change your treatment approach in your practice.
Yes. I thought at the beginning that was not true, but I've learned that this is true.
And I'm curious. Would you have like an example that you remember?
Wait, let me think about it. Yes. What? Like for example, a chemical treatment. A chemical treatment that I wouldn't perform for an object on a public collection for the sake of prevention or for the sake of prevention precaution, and that we need research or whatever, investment of time, money, and knowledge and whatever, with a private client, with paper that is stained and the image lost. You cannot tell him we need 6 months of work in 2 people in this lab that will cost you thousands of dollars, and you know that a bleaching and redevelopment treatment would bring the image back. Why not doing it?
Thank you. About methodology again, I would like to ask you, do you have any way of evaluation of the treatments that you perform during the treatment or after the treatment?
Evaluation in private practice is difficult to do that in a methodical or scientific way, and you have to rely a lot on your own experience, connoisseurship, and appreciation. But evaluation of the treatments. What I know is that connoisseurship and appreciation of the photograph is a great value for a conservator. And this you learn by looking at photographs, talking to other more experienced photographers and conservators and collectors, and you finish by learning to know how to evaluate the quality of a photograph. So this is an important point. You have to be able to be confident and on how do you evaluate the quality of a photograph. So when something comes for treatment, when it goes out, you must be able to state if the quality of the photograph has changed, in what way. This is something, I don't know, it's difficult to explain. I don't know if I said something that makes sense or not. Yes. But you rely on yourself. I do rely on myself to evaluate the quality of the treatment. Then, as for, I try to use innocuous materials so that I can sort of rely on that I'm not harming the original objects with the materials I'm adding during the treatment.
Thank you, Pau. I wanted to ask you, you were talking about the clients and perhaps these expectations or these needs that they have. Are you asked in your practice to do something it's not possible to do? How is your relationship between what the client expects and
the clients, very few clients really understand or know what we do, so we constantly have to explain what is possible and what is not possible, and some of them are surprised because of the results we can attain, and some of them are deceived, and some of them want more, some of them the contrary, no, want less. No, usually that doesn't happen.
But they're surprised.
But then you have to explain constantly, because they don't really understand what the behavior of materials is. There's very little people capable of identifying or differentiating plastic from wood, from paper, from gelatin, from pigments, from dyes, from we do. And when we tell this to people, they are kind of surprised.
Okay, thank you. In the subject of extent, we were already talking about some of the treatments that you perform. I would like to ask you, how do you define what a major treatment is, a minor treatment is, a moderate? Do you use these divisions of terms?
Major,
minor
treatment. What a major treatment is. Well, for me, a major treatment is something that takes a lot of time. This could be the treatment of a single object that is badly damaged, that needs a lot of time, or the treatment of 1,000 glass plates that need cleaning. It's also a major treatment. I understand that in terms of quantity of time needed. Maybe if you give me another clue, I can shift my idea and answer in another way. What do you refer to?
I refer to that, but also we've used these terms in our field to define our intervention, how big it is, the degree of the intervention and sometimes it's defined by time, I agree, and other people have, but also by the importance of the photograph, by how its condition. So I think it varies, but it's terms that we constantly use. So that's why I'm asking, how do you define it, or do you use these terms to define your interventions, or not? So
yeah, in terms of hours of work and budget. That's my experience, or the way I use these terms is in that way.
And thank you. I'd like to ask you now, in terms of transformation of your practice, have you noticed any changes in the way you perform the treatments, or in the photographs that you're being asked to treat in these years you've been having your lab?
Evolution of treatment since I began. Well, I began at school doing many tests on many treatments, and then things have simplified themselves, because with experience you finish by understanding and getting more proficient in manipulations, so things get simpler with time, even though every object is different, but you kind of learn what it takes to clean an albumin print. At the beginning you're not so used to, so you are scared, you are impressed by results, and you learn how to go forward without worrying too much. So this, in a personal perspective, this is an evolution, but in terms of treatment application, or the treatments themselves, I don't know what to answer. I haven't seen any evolution, any relevant evolution. I think when I started in the year 2000, all the treatments I do regularly were already more or less set up and thought and researched, and this is mainly what I do, and I haven't learned many new things since.
And have you noticed any change in the level of intervention in your personal career, or in the field? Do you think there's
well, in
more
the field
less,
there's been an evolution, because things have had to be tested at the beginning in the 70s, and 60s, 70s, 80s, things began to settle. For instance, a lot of treatments that came from the practice of photography, from the photo darkroom, that were practiced by the first conservators, are not practiced that much anymore, for the sake of precaution and reversibility and innocuity. For instance, did they use? Intensification and reduction has been used as a conservation treatment, but it's not used anymore because scientists have demonstrated that it has long-term effects that are undesirable. The same with chemical treatments. Well, that was chemical treatments. There are polemic ones, for example, for the treatment of the daguerreotypes. We still don't know what is right, what is wrong exactly, I think. And what else has changed? Well, we have learned a lot from paper conservation techniques that we have adapted to the conservation of photographs.
And in your practice, in these years in your lab, I don't know if there has been any change in these aspects to do.
Well, you learn how to do things with the materials and the tools you have, which is a different situation that when you are at school, where often you have all the facilities you want. At least that was my case at the IFRA program, which is like an ideal place to do conservation because you have all you need, you have it. Probably here at the Georgisman House is the same kind of ideal environment, but this is, you do research on treatment. When you're in private practice, you don't have that kind of possibility. So you do your own little research to find the right tool you can find in town or around where you work. And for example, I know I have discovered a way to clean enamel photographs, what we call enamel photographs in Spanish, fotografías esmaltadas, with this kind of metal drying apparatus, I don't know how you call it in English, where you would dry the wet silver gelatin print in contact with a metal very shiny surface.
Ferrotype.
Yeah, ferrotype. Yeah, that's how one way of saying it. This is a surface that is very sensitive to humidity, to water. So you have to clean one of these ferrotyped photographs. It's kind of difficult because you cannot use water. Then I've been for years trying to re-enamel photographs, because if I needed to wash them in water, all this surface aspect would disappear. But I finally found out a way to sort of give back the shine of the enamel, what I call enamel photograph, like if I was treating leather shoes, by rubbing very strong and fast the surface with a cotton glove. So I can this nobody taught me, I just find it out myself. And I'm very happy with it, and I do it with some of the things I have discovered by my own. Not that much, not that many things, but after years of doing the same thing, you finish by doing it your way, and you find out that it works for that, it doesn't work for that, and that's what probably in ancient times you would call an atelier secret that we pass from master to to apprentice.
Mhm. And now you're talking about your practice and your experience. Do you consider yourself to have an expertise in one treatment or in one type of photograph?
Well, I'm very good in something somebody taught me. Then, if you want, I'll tell you the story. But it's a kind of personal thing that it's kind of may not be very interesting for everybody. But I made an internship at the Metropolitan Museum, and I spent a couple of months with the guy who mounts photographs,
Mhm.
Predrag. I don't remember his name, or I don't want to say it wrong, so I won't say it. Predrag from the photo department
Yes.
at the Metropolitan. There's only one, and he taught me how to mount and frame photographs. And this is a great deal of what I do now.
Okay.
And I owe him a lot of my work.
Thank you for sharing. We were before in the subject of transformation, and I have another question about this idea of transformation. And it's, do you consider that the perception of how a photograph should look in terms of condition has changed? Like these aspects.
How a photograph should look
How do we look
has changed.
in terms of condition? So
Yes, of course. It did change at the beginning of our field in the 60s, 70s and 80s, if you want. People learn how to appreciate patina or a slight evolution of the aspect of the photograph.
Mhm.
Before to that, yellow stain or a yellow hue was considered very bad, so they would restore the image, not the photograph, by reproducing it with a filter and then having a new print that wouldn't have this yellow hue. Now we have learned that some qualities of the photographs are only, we can only appreciate them in the original print. So we have learned how to live with it and even to appreciate it. Sometimes yeah, some little changes can bring an extra appeal to a photograph.
And do you think this happens outside our field? Do your clients think this as well?
Yes, more and more clients come to me to ask for my opinion. They know I am an expert, and it's kind of weird to feel that way, but I can say it because it's obvious that it's like this. And they will believe what I say. So if I say this photograph is a good photograph, this photograph is a good print, they will believe it and they will take it for what I say. So if I tell them this deterioration is irreversible, but it adds some interest to the thing, it adds some anciency or historical value, they will believe it and they will like it. So was that an answer to the question?
Yes. And now this comes to the next subject, which is influences, and I would like to know if market and value and trends influence treatment performance in your practice. Do you encounter with these factors?
Yes, ideally or theoretically it shouldn't, but it does. It does.
Do you think, I don't know if it's always the same, but does it has higher value you do less treatment or more treatment? I don't know. How do you see this?
Well,
this
it's
relationship?
variable, I think, because somebody can come to you saying, I want to sell this photograph in an auction and I want you to clean this stain or repair this tear, and you will do it because that's what they pay you for. So you can argue, you cannot be de acuerdo, how do you say it?
Agree?
You may not agree, and then you negotiate and you come to an agreement and you decide to do what both agree, but this could be a major, as you said, intervention, as you said before, and for the same reason you could not do anything because you're putting the work in danger, so money value or commercial value is a very important value. If not, look around in the world, what drives the world? Money. So money is an important factor, maybe the most important.
And I would like to know, in your practice in Spain, how does your work relate? Is it different or is it similar to what is performed in other institutions in Spain? I would like to, because here there's more work perhaps here in the United States than in Spain. So I'd like to hear your experiences. Are people doing conservation in museums?
We are very few professionals working in Spain. I can think of 4 studios that do 5 treat photographs, at least that I know. And I think we all have quite high standards. 1, 2, 3. 3 that I know that I can say there are colleagues with whom I have a relationship. 2 others I don't have relationship, but I don't know exactly what they do. I know they do treat photographs. But the other 3 I know, they are good professionals. They work also for institutions and for private clients. There are no public positions for photograph conservators in Spain. We all do have private conservation labs.
So all the institutions would rely on these labs when they give. Thank you, Pau. So with this, I would like to start talking about specific treatment topics, which I have prepared. And the first is daguerreotype cleaning. You partially addressed a little bit about this treatment in one of your answers. And as you know, this has been a historical treatment performed in photographs. It was one of the earliest, since daguerreotypes are one of the earliest photographs. And this has changed through time in materials and methodologies. So I would like to hear your opinion about this treatment of daguerreotype cleaning.
Well, I am a little bit, I do not treat chemically daguerreotypes because those are projects that don't come to me very often. So I'm not comfortable in doing this because I would need to get used to it. I don't have enough experience. So what I do is just dry, surface clean, and repair and of mounts and rehousings. That's all I do in daguerreotypes, which is already complicated and nice to do. And if I found a daguerreotype that is too badly tarnished, in which you can see the image, which is rare, I just tell the owner that I don't do it and what the possibilities are. But I haven't been in that position many times. In fact, almost never. So I don't know, to somebody, I know of a friend of mine, a collector, who does clean daguerreotypes using the Taiyoria process. And I know he does it for other collectors because they know he does it, so he does it, and I think he does it properly. I also know, I don't know, there is I haven't figured out which is the right and safe way to do it, and I'm not sure there is one. I know the methodology is to start, like everything, with the less aggressive techniques and then go forward go forward in function of the diagnosis, the deterioration they show.
Mm-hmm.
But since I'm not very much used to it, I cannot talk very much about it.
And have you ever cleaned, like in your practice, in your professional education? Did you ever
Yes,
get
yes,
this?
I've done and I've seen the washing of plates, the Tioria cleaning, electrolytic cleaning, plasma cleaning. What else there is? That's about all. Maybe there's something else. some
Ammonia
crazy
washing,
thing
like in
But
between.
in between.
Ammonia.
Ammonia washing, yeah, that would be the second step. I don't know enough about
And
that.
do you know if you were saying somebody was in Spain using thyroid to clean? Does anybody do like electro cleaning, or is it just?
I don't think they know what this is. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm maybe talking too much now. I don't really know.
And in this case, where you said it's rare, but some daguerreotypes may present this heavy tarnish, which doesn't allow you to see the image, would you suggest? You were saying you would tell your clients what the possibilities are. What would you suggest to cleaning, or it doesn't come in often?
Yeah, I would probably send them, if they insisted they wanted it cleaned, I would send them to one of my teachers who's a specialist in that, Jérôme Monnier from Paris. He's, I think, one of the specialists, so he's probably a good person to rely on. You know, the Georgisman House, I'm sure, has a lot of experience in treating daguerreotypes. There are other people, no?
Yes. Thank you. My next topic is about chemical intensification, which you also partially referred to before. And as you know, also this type of treatments come from photographic methodologies. And also they have been applied to photographs to enhance the image when it's faded or when it is very badly lost. And also research has been done in the past about the possibility and applicability of this type of treatments to photographs. So it's and also as a kind of controversial subject. So I would like to know your opinion about chemical intensification of prints. What do you think about this type of treatment?
Well, my information is that there are two different ways of chemically treat photographs: intensification and bleaching and redevelopment. Intensification, I think it's not a safe procedure because it's not predictable and changes the nature of the image forming material, which is a kind of traición. How do you say that in English? Treachery? Well, which is not recommended.
Yes.
Well, it's not applicable and not accepted by our code of ethics to change the original materials of the object we are treating. So, intensification being discarded, and there's a long story about intensification treatments in the 20th century until the mid-80s. It was stopped publicly. The Association of Photograph Dealers asked publicly conservators to stop intensifying photographs. And now bleaching and redevelopment, it's another thing because it doesn't change the nature of the image forming material, and it can reverse the staining chemical stains in a gelatin silver photograph. So those are two different perspectives, I think.
And do you do any the later that you?
Yes, I have been. I can do bleach and redevelopment, which is also a treatment that comes from from the photo darkroom in tradition, let's say, techniques.
And in what type of photographs would you do this treatment?
Stained or faded photographs.
Okay. Well, let me back up about the same topic. There was this, you were referring to the APAD when they asked publicly to stop intensifying prints, and this was because there was philosophical matters of how was it changing the value of the historical prints. I would like to hear your opinion about this moment that you were referring to. How did you? Do you agree? How was it?
Yeah, of course I agree. Of course I agree, because and with time I have learned to appreciate deteriorated photographs. So I don't understand very well why you would intensify a deteriorated print. If the damage is irreversible, you have to learn to live with it. If the image is gone, the photograph, the original qualities of the photograph are gone, you have to learn to live with it. What's wrong with it? It's the history of the object. That's something else that maybe needs to be said here, is that the more and more I have worked in that field, the more and more I treat less photographs. I'm less and less interventive, and I try to appreciate what I have for what it is, and try to learn the lessons from it. And more and more my job is to educate and communicate with people, with clients, with collectors, and with the public, and less to try to reverse the effects of time on photographs, of time, and more often of negligence. Negligence is an English word?
Yes.
It's usually human negligence that alters photographs.
Thank you. The next topic I have in our agenda is about on-mounting and remounting photographs, and this would include also the disassemblage of albums. And this was a treatment that was performed more in the past. It was more common practice, since it was considered to be better for the photographs in terms of their chemical or physical stability, and also has been considered to be necessary to display individual photographs in certain moments and times. So I would like to hear your opinion. When do you think this on-mounting and remounting is allowable? Do you do it? Are you asked to do it?
Well, albums are complex objects with their own interest and history, and we have learned to respect them and not to disassemble them, because they tell a story that is only that if you dismantle them, it disappears. So we have learned we have learned that, in fact. So now we tend not to unmount albums, and you know, and everybody knows more or less what are the precautions and the way we sometimes exhibit pages of albums in taking advantage of the conservation. We unmount them temporarily, we treat them, we exhibit them, and then we remount them. And regarding the unmounting of photographs, I tend to be less and less interventive, and the less and less I unmount photographs from their original mounts. The interventions, I do tend to stabilize the environment of the mounted print and not to unmount the print. So I do try to help people appreciate the interest of the mount, original mount, and try to work around to stabilize the effects of the mounts or the effects of the environment. So I'm a lover of the original object.
And my next next topic is about modern and contemporary photography. And as you know, this tendency for bigger formats and new materials, not only photographic but related to the mounting systems like face mounts, metal, aluminum, has challenged treatment practices and has started to challenge perhaps the treatment of photographs. So I would like to know your experience. Do you treat this type of photographs? How has it been for you?
Yes, I do treat this kind of photograph because they come to the studio and I'm asked to act, to preserve them. And the first step of my treatment is to study them, and that's a lot of the time I spend with these photographs is to try to figure out what they are, how they are made, and I think this is the case for almost everybody else. This last decade has seen the how do you say it? La aparición. The introduction of a large number of new materials, new photographic materials, or printing materials, and mounting materials, and it's very difficult to know all them, and we know all that a lot of research is being done to identify and characterize their process of degradation and of life. So I think that's a little bit what I'm doing to collaborate with this kind of work. What do I do with contemporary photographs? For instance, try to differentiate what is a photograph of what is a print, which is not very clear in the mind of the public in general. Only to some experts there is a difference. So that's already something to learn and to be conscious of.
And in terms of treatment, are you asked to treat them? Have they come to your lab?
Well, I wouldn't treat something that I don't understand, that I don't know what it is. So what do I do on contemporary photographs? Not much. I could put an isolating layer and in paint a scratch, for example. This is something I have done. I would mount fallen photographs, but not that much. I have cleaned some color emulsions, but those are photographs, traditional color emulsions.
In this same subject, I would like to ask you, there has been this, when contemporary photography is severely damaged, like by act of negligence, and the photograph is severely damaged and cannot be restored or conserved via treatment, it has been suggested and it has been done to reprint the photograph or the image. What do you think about this practice?
Controversial subject. It's something that is being done that often pleases very much the collector, the owner, because they have a new print instead of having a damaged one. Usually the photographer or the artist nowadays keeps the old print, the vintage print, and destroys it or not, whatever. At the beginning, when I started having this kind of projects, I was happy to be able to reprint a damaged photograph that had something irreversible, but I tend to be less and less comfortable with that option, because in fact you have a new print that is printed 1, 2, 3, 10, 15, 20 years later, and that usually has nothing to do with the original one. So it doesn't have the same information, the same characteristics, the same appeal than the vintage print. So I have learned to appreciate the vintage one as for what it is, a vintage print, with all what it conveys. So I'm not, there's a case in Spain of a photographer now that had printed a lot of black and white photographs in the 70s and 80s that are yellowing very fast in this lapse of 10, 15, 20 years. Now all the collectors are complaining and giving them back to the photographer, who's giving in exchange new prints. But the new prints, they are just new prints, modern prints of these old images, and even the old damaged photographs, the old damaged original prints are very nice with their yellow middle tones, and I love them. And collectors are giving them away, and the guy is destroying them and exchanging them for new prints that are different from the vintage ones. New, different paper, the original paper doesn't exist anymore. So the collectors are happy, but I'm not at all, because I don't know. So it's controversial. I guess it's well.
Thank you, Pau. I would like to continue by asking you about treatment experience and training. And by this I mean the teaching of treatment. And I would like to ask you, do you consider that treatment proficiency is central to the competences of a photograph conservator?
No, probably not. Treatment proficiency is essential. No, because you can think about things and get things done by somebody who's really skilled in something. And what counts is the idea and the way and how you plan the project. This would be the good point. If you are able to do it yourself, and if you like it, you do it. If not, you can get somebody else to do it. No?
No. So what would you consider the central skills for a photograph conservator?
Most important skills to be a photograph conservator. Well, probably connoisseurship, which is the understanding of what a photograph is and what the place of that object is in the history of photography and in the history of the author. To be able to really evaluate its interest and its needs and the needs for one or other conservation treatment. So it's really the thinking, the thinking about the photograph, which is important. If you're able to perform it or not, I'm not sure this is essential. Well, if you want to carry on with the treatment, if you need to, you need to be skilled, manually skilled. But the understanding of what's going on in the object. I feel we are experts in materials. We are not scientists, but we are people who are able to identify and appreciate the condition of a lot of materials. And this is maybe the most important skill we need.
Thank you. So we've come to the end of the interview, and my last question would be, in terms of treatment, what do you consider are the major challenges that the field of photograph conservation faces?
challenges in terms of treatment. Well, have solutions to many problems we have, many unknown questions we find. I don't know, I have many things I don't know how to do when I'm at work and that I don't do. And these would be the challenges, I think.
Would you think of any particular?
Oof, now. Yes, I have, well, yes, how to flatten, that's something I share with another problem they have here at the Georgisman house, how to flatten raw nitrate films, if it's necessary or not. I don't know, I have a set of albumin prints to flatten that I don't know how to do because they are mounted in a weird way, and I don't feel comfortable with mounting them, and I don't know how to do it. It's very difficult. Every object has their problems. Some of them we know how to handle them, others we don't know. What else? In glass plates, we also have problems with glass plates that we don't know how to deal with.
And how do you think we can achieve this problem solving of this particular?
Well, there are places, institutions that do research and that find answers to concrete problems. So this is probably their role and their function. And we are lucky we have some of these centers that do research.
About more research.
Yeah. Well, but it's also difficult to think about who is going to invest more money in more research than what is being done. Probably we would be happy to have more communication, but that also takes time and money, and we do not have everything. So we do with what we have.
Thank you. So I deeply appreciate your time and interest to perform this interview, Pau. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.